So it's been so exciting getting to know you and ISC as we've worked together over the past year. And I wanted to share with some of the people who are interested in win-win apps about you, ISC, and what makes you one of my favorite win-win beta testers. So can you tell us what the mission of ISC is?
Sure. At ISC, we work at the community level to solve problems like environmental degradation. And right now we have great programs focused on climate. And the difference at ISC is that many climate programs will focus on policy, but what we focus on is helping people take action in their local community.
And one of the things that's been so amazing to me as I learned more is that when you go into these communities, you often leave behind the infrastructure for them to continue solving their own problems.
Yeah.
And can you give an example of that?
Yeah, that's absolutely key. One example is the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency invited us to work in Russia's most polluted city. And one of the first things we did was pull people together, people who might not have worked together before, business with citizens, with nonprofit organizations, and have them focus on what their priorities were. And it became apparent, for example, that factories were spewing out a lot of really polluting particulates. So the first priority was to get that clean. But at the same time, as we worked on the technical aspects of cleaning up a city, we also worked with the citizens and the nonprofit organizations to reach out to more people, get them involved, and give them the skills to be able to continue this work. So after we left, they were able to continue the work that ISC had started, but under their own initiative. So we have, we've recently, for example, found out about these environmental bus tours that kids are doing for visitors to their city, telling them the story of how they cleaned up the city.
And I remember, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I remember some incredible statistic about the actual number of lives that you saved when you were doing that.
Yeah, in that city, respiratory illness was huge because of the pollution. And within just a few years, the number of lives saved was 28, so jumped by 28.
That's really incredible. And what about now? What are some of your newest initiatives?
Right now, we've got two programs that I'm really excited about. One is in the United States here, we're working with leaders from the cities to really change the way that they're operating. So it's called the Climate Leadership Academy. And
how does a city get involved in that?
Yeah, well, in the Climate Leadership Academy, we reach out to various cities, and then we ask them to apply. And key is for them to pull together a team of people who don't necessarily work together, who are then going to come to our academy, get the tools and the knowledge that they need, and then return and implement that. And
so what types of jobs might they hold in the city? What disparate jobs?
Right. So many cities now have sustainability directors, and then you'll have an example. So one of the climate academies we had focused on energy efficiency and green job creation. So in that case, they put together teams of people from who represent community colleges and also the facilities management in those cities, along with the mayor's office.
So after they went home from the academy, they had forged connections that they hadn't even developed in their own city through you, and then the work went on. Yeah,
exactly. In fact, one team told us that they met for the first time in the airport on their way to our Climate Leadership Academy, and now they've been working together for almost a year.
Yeah, so it's called the Institute for Sustainable Communities for a reason. So you said there were two examples, and one was that. And
the other I think really exciting program is I think you probably know that. The majority of the world's emissions are put out by China and the U.S. Okay, I think you know.
Sadly, I do know that. Yeah.
I think you know that China and the United States now account for 40% of the world's GHG emissions. So we have a project in China that pulls together kind of the best of US and the best of Chinese knowledge to really focus on two provinces in China, the most industrial provinces. They're called Guangzhou and Jiangsu. And we're working very closely with factories there with a special program to help factory managers bring down emissions and boost their environmental work. And then we also
and
work
it's really
with cities.
these managers who are the ones who can implement the change, right?
Yes, we spent a long time talking with people, listening, and trying to figure out what would make them the biggest difference. And at ISC, we often try to find the people who can make almost they operate as levers. They can make a big change. And we found that factory managers were those folks who could really change the way business is done.
And it's surprising, too, sometimes who those levers are, right? It's not necessarily who you expect it to be when you enter a community. And that's part of the due diligence that ISC does so well. And what you're involved in right now, again, is doing a lot of listening and learning before you take action. And that's the sort of thing that makes me proud to be able to support ISC.
Oh, that's great.
So
Yeah.
I'm Anna Palmer, the founder of Win-Win Apps, and
I'm Elizabeth Coleman with the Institute for Sustainable Communities in charge of fundraising and communications.
And where can people find both of your companies?
If you'd like more information, visit our website, www.iscvt for Vermont.org.
we're winwinapps.com.